Ingemar Johansson, Floyd Patterson 2. Ray Mercer, Tommy Morrison. With that one punch, Foster not only separated Tiger from his senses, but also his belt.
That was the first real hard punch you threw, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was setting him up just for one good shot.
The new champ would go on to successfully defend his title 14 times, 10 by knockout.
Foster's career was built around that punch.
Overwhelmed and defenseless, Williams was dropped 3 times in the second round and again in the third before Ali was finally waved off.
It was the most devastating stoppage with a short but dynamite left hook to the button.
And the next thing you see is Ezra Charles lying on the ground and Jersey Joe Walcott at some indeterminable age. He is the new heavyweight champion of the world.
It was as if he was bouncing a basketball.
Frazier's knees buckled. He is down.
What I remember most about that fight was that Frazier kept getting up, and I knew he would.
Frazier was down 6 times in only 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Foreman hadn't just won the belt, he'd ripped it from Smokin' Joe.
Had you had a nickname at that time, it would have been George Invincible Foreman. It was unbelievable what he had done.
The last punch was a right hand. Khan falls face forward. He gets up at the count of 11, and the fight was over.
Goes and takes a step back for a moment, gets a chance to get up, and actually fell him.
Weak steps in, and the fight is over!
Was it one of the greatest fights of all time? No doubt. The criteria were all met. Tremendous action, fast pace, big stakes, and a violent and graphic and sudden ending.
And then decides to go for the knockout.
Ali now taking advantage as Foreman's head was bent, and quickly a combination. All right, finally sending up Foreman down.
When he took him out, it was like a pirouette, the way George went down.
It was probably the most graceful, most beautiful looking knockout in boxing history. It was Ali's masterpiece.
Hit me that hard.
Hey, Fox! Cuevas is down.
All you saw was Pepino Cuevas rocking back and forth like an aspen in the wind. And then one more, and he is down.
It was just an incredible knockout. You knew he wasn't getting back up.
And hit Stanley Ketchel as hard as any human being has hit another.
And the next thing you see is Stanley Ketchel lying on the canvas in a crucifixion imitation, out, while Jack Johnson is standing behind him, picking 2 teeth out of his gloves that don't belong to him, they belong to the fallen Ketchel.
That might be the most spine-chilling knockout in the history of boxing.
But in the 10th round, the old man turned back time.
Michael Moore is down. Goes Moore on a right hand.
And all of a sudden, boom, the right hand. Bing, right behind it. And you never saw the right hand. And that's what he caught Michael Moore with, a perfect punch.
It was as if Michael Moore was hit by lightning. One quick shot. You know, thanks for playing our game. Cash and parting gifts. Johnny Olsen, tell us what he's won.
The punch went through his mouth guard, ripped his mouth guard in half, and went through his lip and ripped his lip in half.
You see the blood welling up behind Moore's lips.
At 45, Foreman regained what he had lost at 25.
When I defeated Michael Moore, it was a happy moment, by far the most splendid moment I've had in boxing, really.
Different parts.
Rocky went down and was out. It was the end of the greatest, perhaps, 3-bout series of all time. Common was on him again. Tony went down again, and the referee, Mel Manning, didn't even bother to count. Out.
This fight, 1 minute and 54 seconds of the 12th round. 2 seconds longer than the first fight. Same result. Who said lightning never strikes twice in the same spot?
One of the best combinations that I've ever seen in boxing.
Oh, the uppercut. What an uppercut by Douglas, and down goes Tyson.
We just seen the shot, pivot and pow! Then was able to finish him.
The scene that sticks in my mind, Tyson is on his knee. He's got gloves on.
he's trying to pick up his mouthpiece and stick it in his mouth, which is like trying to pick a glob of mercury off a kitchen table while wearing catcher's gloves. No way.
With his stunning knockout, Douglas not only took the title from Tyson, he stripped away Iron Mike's aura of invincibility.
Just keep chopping on him. Just keep chopping on him. And eventually he's going to go. And that's what happened. As you seen over there, he was flat on his ass.
He hits him again, hits him again.
There's no question.
Tommy didn't have anything left. Once he got hit by Hagler, he was gone. He wasn't just knocked out, he was gone.
Hagler retained his title, and boxing had an 8-minute classic for its archives.
It was a spectacular fight. I don't think you'll see any great fight in the last 30, 40 years that has much action in 3 rounds.
But in the 5th, Robinson nailed Fulmer with a punch as sweet as, well, sugar.
In 75 years of boxing, that was the best left hook they figured it was ever thrown, and it happened to catch me on the chin.
The next thing you see is Gene Fulmer on the ground, looking as if he's trying to take his glove off the ground, which has been epoxied to the canvas, and it's over.
The only thing I remember is Robinson jumping up and down, and I wondered how come he was doing exercise between rounds, and when my manager told me they'd counted 10, and I knew I hadn't heard any of it, or I knew who it was on.
At 35, Robinson had won the middleweight title for a record 4th time.
This was the last great moment of Ray Robinson's career, but this one punch was one of the great punches in the history of boxing.
In that fight, Schmeling is almost helpless.
Right to the body, a left hook to the jaw, and Schmeling is down. The fight is over on a technical knockout.
At 2 minutes and 4 seconds of round 1, referee Art Donovan stopped it. Lewis had avenged his defeat with a victory whose impact extended far beyond boxing.
Joe Louis, by knocking out Schmeling in the rematch, that is the most symbolic sports event in history. That was democracy versus fascism. That was the dress rehearsal for World War II.
There was celebration in the streets everywhere because this was not just Lewis beating Schmeling, this was Roosevelt beating Hitler.
Come out 2nd round, Dempsey comes right at Firpo, bam, puts him down, and miraculously Firpo gets up, and bam, puts him down, and Firpo is still trying to get up when he is counted out by the referee Gallagher.
Firpo lifted one leg when he was unconscious like a wounded steer. Boy, talk about drama.
11 knockdowns in 227 seconds. The greatest fight in history, period, end of paragraph.
Ingemar Johansson, Floyd Patterson 2. Ray Mercer, Tommy Morrison. Bob Foster, Dick Tiger. Muhammad Ali, Cleveland Williams. Jersey Joe Walcott, Ezzard Charles III. George Foreman, Joe Frazier. Joe Louis, Billy Conn. Diego Corrales, Jose Luis Castillo. Muhammad Ali, George Foreman. Thomas Hearns, Pepino Cuevas. Jack Johnson, Stanley Ketchel. George Foreman, Michael Moore. Tony Zale, Rocky Graziano III. Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson. Carmen Basilio, Tony DeMarco II. Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns. Sugar Ray Robinson, Gene Fulmer II. Joe Louis, Max Schmeling II. Jack Dempsey, Luis Firpo. Now, battered Marciano looked to be wobbling to his first defeat. Or so it seemed.
They come together and they each throw right hands at the same time.
Marciano, who throws nothing but blockbusters as per his name, throws a shorter right, and it catches Walcott.
You look at Walcott's head, there's a terrible distortion. Everything just crunched together. And Marciano looks around to see that the ref isn't quite in view and adds a little left hook to send him on his way.
The Marciano right hand that knocked out Walcott was probably the best right hand ever thrown.
When the referee counts Joe Walcott out, you almost want to scream, forget it, just call the medics. Call the doctor in there now. Don't wait 10 seconds.
You can count all day, 10, 10,000, 10 million, doesn't matter. He is out. It's the most devastating one punch in the history of boxing.